Hi everybody, welcome back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my thought of the day, and it's all about a certain local boy, a midfielder, Sean Longstaff. That's right, Sean Longstaff has been talking about his new contract. He's been talking a lot actually, and saying a few things. I'm not quite sure how to take this really from Sean. I just thought I'd jump on and do a quick reaction video about it and just give you my tuppence worth on it as well, because it's pretty clear to me that Sean Longstaff has been either listening to or he's been annoyed or irked a little bit about some of the things that have been said about him. It could be from various avenues. It could be from the crowd. It could be from content creators like ourselves. It could be from social media. It's probably a mixture of all of the above. And I'll get this out of the way right now. I really like Sean Longstaff. I think he's a brilliant ambassador for the North East. He's actually, if you look at him, he's the Geordie dream, isn't he? He's the lad from North Shields who his family's a local family. They've kind of been in the club all their lives. As him and his brother played for the club. He's everything a young lad from the Northeast really wants to grow up to be, playing for Newcastle United, playing in the Champions League, and he represents the region really, really well, represents his family really, really well, speaks very well, and he's an excellent character. He really, really is. When it comes to being a footballer, he's good at certain things. He's very good at running. He's very good at graft. He's very good at, doing what the manager wants him to do and executing the plan. And Sean says that as well. He says that, the manager obviously asks the job of him and he does the job. And some of the things that he was saying, now bear in mind, this was a written piece from, I think it was Mark Douglas in the iNews that I saw it in. So written pieces can be taken in a different context. When you see Sean get interviewed, when you hear from Sean, he's a very nice lad. He's very humble. He's got a little bit of crack about him and all that. And he says a few things, maybe tongue in cheek. He said it after the game the other day, where he said, some people think I can't pass 2 yards and I shouldn't be in the team, and some people think I should be in the team. So this is clearly winding Sean up a little bit, I think, in terms of what's going on. And again, just to get this out of the way as well, I still think you can criticise a footballer. Now, footballers and football, whether they like it or not, that is a price on the ticket. When you get into that profession, when you get into that particular world, you are opening yourself up to the public. I mean, weirdly enough, even doing content like this, Christ, we're not retiring, from work doing this kind of thing. We still work for a living, and we don't get to do this for a living. But even the guys who do this for a living, you know what I mean? They'll get stick, they'll get shit. Some of the abuse you get thrown at you in the comments as well. Sometimes it does wind you up, or you just try to ignore it and you let it pass you by. But from Sean's point of view as a footballer, whether you like it or not, when you're in that world, when you're on that platform, you're there to be judged. And Sean kind of says it as well. He says that, I think he quoted an NFL quarterback when he said, basically, I wouldn't take advice off somebody who, doesn't really know what they're talking about, type thing, is what he said, really read between the lines. And he said things to journalists like, you guys aren't stupid. And now I'm sure he's not meaning that the fans are stupid. There is some people out there who just say stupid things. I mean, you saw that clip, the Man United clip of the day, where the guy was giving Garnacho shit, when he's trying to send autographs for young fans. Massive credit to Garnacho, by the way, who just turned around and said, why aren't you playing, bro? And walked away, which I thought was really, really cool. But, these lads have got to be taught that from a young age. They've got to be taught how to have thick skin for these kind of things. And in a way, it's not right, but as long as it doesn't cross over into the realms of abuse, personal abuse is not right. You can't condone that. But criticism of a player is absolutely fine, and it's every fan's God-given right, in my opinion, to criticize. That's their right as a fan. They're paying a lot of money to see that product, and for them, they are more than, in my opinion, more within their rights to criticize a player if they don't think that player is putting in the hard miles and doing the job that they should be doing. And Sean is not exempt from criticism. Bruno's not exempt from criticism. Neither is anybody else. Eddie Howe as well. They're not exempt from criticism. They're on that stage, and they're there to be judged. So I think there's an element of that maybe that Sean is potentially just maybe getting a bit pissed off with all the stuff. And I can imagine it takes a great deal of resilience. I admire Sean's resilience, and all players' resilience to put up with the level of shit that they do. But everyone has a tipping point. Everyone has a breaking point. And I think Sean's maybe reached his, that he's just getting a little bit pissed off with the way things are going out there and the way people are talking about it. And sometimes it is too heavy-handed on Sean. I'll criticize him when he does something bad. I'll praise him when he does something good, like I did at the weekend. You'll get some people jump in your comments and accuse you of abusing the lad. Go back and watch our stuff. I haven't abused the lad, at all. I've criticized him when he's not particularly played well, but I've done that for other players. I've done that for Gordon. I said Gordon like an attitude problem a few months back, and he turned that around. I said it about Isak, looking knackered and looking tired. I said it about Joe Linton. I said it about Bruno. I said it about a lot of players. But I think the local media as well are rallying around Sean Longstaff, because he's a local lad, and because he's a likable lad as well, and maybe trying to, protect him a little bit. And I think this piece is very much about that as well. I mean, Sean was very honest and very raw. I'll give him respect for that. He's been very honest in the past about his mental health struggles as well. So he's not shied away from that. Certainly under the time with Steve Brucey, I think he had a rough time of it as well. So Sean's obviously, a very kind of open-minded, well balanced kid who will talk about the issues that he feels like he's facing. So that's obviously what he's doing here. But this has all kind of come around really because the club, I think, have an option to extend his contract. Maybe it's not quite happening behind the scenes just yet. And this could be a little bit of Sean's people saying you need to kick up a bit of a stink, get an article out, push the club into moving and giving you the new contract. But he did say, Sean, that he loves playing for Newcastle, he loves playing for this manager. If his future's here, great. If it's not, fine, he'll go somewhere else. And I think that's quite a healthy approach to have from a footballer, to be honest with you, because no footballer owes you anything. Whether they're academy graduates or signings. If the contracts aren't pushed through and not given to the players, it's the God-given right to say to their people, well, have a sniff around and see who else may be interested in me. And if Newcastle do find themselves lacking in the contract, sure, he might go off and play somewhere else. But I think the big danger with this one for me, and again, I like Sean, and I think he's well within his rights to say his piece. I'm not criticising the lad at all, but it's a little bit dangerous, this one for me, because yes, Sean's come off the back of two really good performances, but he's been really poor most of the season. He makes reference to he's not the kind of player that does little flicks over people's heads like Bruno and stuff like that. And he's kind of trying to tell the fans, you're not quite seeing what I'm giving to the team. And in my experience of football fans is they don't like being told what to think and what to do, in one way or the other. We see that as content creators as well. But, for me, if Sean puts in the performances that he put in against Chelsea and against Arsenal, I don't think there's many Newcastle fans that would question his position in the side. But that's also down to the manager. Eddie Howe celebrating his 3-year anniversary this week as a Newcastle manager. And it's been a good spell. True to form, media putting shit stirring stories out about Jose wanting the job. That's just typical media. The media are just as bad, if not worse. Actually, definitely fucking worse than the fans. The media will use any narrative to spin. They'll be your best buddy one minute, your worst enemy the next, Sean. So don't trust the media as much, mate, because they'll use you when they need you. And when they want to bury you, they'll bury you under 20 feet of dirt, mate. They really, really will. Your fans will be the ones that will always have your back and pull you back up when you're feeling low. And there may be a disagreement right now with what you feel is being valued, because that's what Sean says. He wants to be valued as a player. I don't know if he means valued by the manager. I don't think it is, because he says the manager and him get along great. By his teammates, I don't think it's that. I think he's pointing that criticism at us, the supporters, to value Sean for what he does. And football's littered with players like that who have been undervalued in the moment that they've played. Even Didier Deschamps, the current French manager, was called a water carrier, wasn't he, by Eric Cantona. I don't even think it was a derogatory comment. I think he was just saying, he carries the water, for us all to drink, kind of thing. It was one of Cantona's weird seagulls, trawlers kind of comparisons. Even the likes of James Milner, who is an unbelievable professional, still playing now. James Milner, God, fucking think he's the record Premier League, holder. Players like him, players like Gareth Barry, David Batty when he was at Newcastle as well. They do the dirty work, they do the kind of ugly stuff in football. But those players previously used to be quite adored, when you look at likes of, Paul Ince, Roy Keane, Michael Carrick, James Milner, obviously Makelele, players like that. The players who did the dirty stuff, got tackles in and all that, those players were really praised for what they did and contributed. But now everybody wants the skill, the flicks, the tricks. So Sean's not too wrong with that statement there. But it's a very dangerous game, I think, to draw battle lines with the fans when, rightly or wrongly, Sean is quite a divisive player, because there's games where he looks brilliant, like Arsenal weekend, and there's games where he looks really off it. And that's down to the manager to pick the right players for the right game. We said that after the Arsenal game. Loads of people have said that as well. When you're playing against a team, even against Nottingham Forest at this weekend's game, we might have more of the ball than they do. They might want us to come onto them and do something with the ball. That's not necessarily a game for Sean Longstaff. You'd probably think someone like Sandro Tonali would have more quality to do that. But you might start with Sean, and if Sean has a stinker, these fans that are already a little bit irked about it might read those words, and it might set them off in the wrong direction. So I kind of understand why he's done it, but I'm just not sure if it was well advised, to be honest, is my kind of take on it. I'm not having a go at him. I think he's well within his rights to stand his ground, stick up for himself if he feels that he's getting a hard time from the fans unnecessarily. And, there is times where it crosses over, and I think it is a bit too much. and you don't need to abuse the lad like that. No abuse is tolerated, really, him and Dan Burnett. But if you go back to last season, the manager has a responsibility to take those players out of the spotlight when things aren't going well for them. That he played Sean in games last season. He should have been nowhere near the starting lineup. Dan Burnett left back again. Should have took him out of the team. He didn't take him out of the team, hoping that these two are going to play themselves back into form, and it didn't quite take. So the manager has to take some responsibility for that as well. If he's put Sean in a position where he's in a mood, he's not happy with the criticism that he's getting. But it's a real funny one for me. I'm kind of sitting on the fence a little bit. That's not only Mark's position. I move over, Mark. I get splinters in my arse. But I'm sitting on the fence a little bit with it, because I'm not going to say it's a good thing that Sean's done. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing either. So I'm kind of a little bit unsure about the whole thing. But let us know in the comments below what you guys think about Sean Longstaff, kind of saying his piece. Do you think he's well within his rights to say his piece? Do you think fans have pushed him too far? Do you think fans need to pull back a little bit and stop abusing the players or stop criticising the players so much? Are we going to get to a nanny state of football, though, where you can't criticise anybody for having a bad game? Because I think we really are getting close to that as football fans. And social media in particular is the worst barometer. But that's where people just jump on people for having comments. We get a bit of it on the comments, in the videos that we create and other content creators do. You can choose to ignore them. You can choose to ban or block people, flick the pricks, as I say, whatever it is. But it gets to the point now where you're not even allowed to criticize a footballer's performance anymore. And to me, that's part and parcel of the game. The reason that fans are there, not every fan is going to adore you and adore your game when you're there. It's up to the players and the manager to give that fan who's got doubts, give them that thrill and that excitement, and then put the performance that makes them go, hey, do you know what? I was wrong about Sean Longstaff. And a lot of people said that the weekend after the Arsenal game, but it's up to Sean to keep putting those performances consistently and not slip back in his performance. It's okay telling the fans that they're out of order and they don't know what they're talking about, even kind of subtly through, kind of quotes or whatever it is that he's done. But very interesting comments from Sean Longstaff. I don't know what's happening with the contract situation. I would say if Eddie Howe is going to be the manager next season, he's going to push to probably keep Sean Longstaff. But again, we'll have to wait and see how the season goes with if Eddie's going to be here next season or not. That's just the truth. Again, don't attack me in the comments for it. I think Eddie Howe's got his targets this season. He has to hit them. That's probably why all these Jose stories are doing the rounds as well. No smoke without fire. But he's pulled it back round in terms of the last couple of performances. We've got Forest at the weekend, which is going to be a big game. Elliot Anderson come back to play against Newcastle United. And we'll get to see then, which is one of the big frustrations people have with Sean, is Elliot Anderson starring for Forest versus Newcastle. Is he going to do it? We don't know. Stay tuned with us, guys. We'll be back for the post-match reaction to the Forest game at the weekend. If this is the kind of thing that you guys like, smash subscribe, come and join us. We're over 8,800 subs now, so loads of room for you on the Evermore YouTube channel. Once we get to 9K, we're going to do that brilliant subscription prize for the retro blue McEwen's Kevin Keegan shirt. That could be yours. Recommend us to family and friends. Help us get that extra couple of hundred subs to get to the 9K. We'll be back with some more banter this weekend. Have a belt, everybody. Calm on Sean. Don't let anyone get you down. Don't let the bastards get you down, as they say. But you need to put the performance in, lad. Have a belt, everyone. We'll see you later. Cheers.
Newcastle United 3.